Namaste and welcome to Pioneers of Storytelling, a show where in every episode I will bring to you an exclusive interview with an architect of storytelling. Filmmaking is a collective effort, and cinematography is one of its most crucial elements. Frankly speaking, a film can be made without a director or even actors, but no way can it be made without a cinematographer. So today, I have with me Sri Satish Bhatia, one of the most senior and respected cinematographers who's walked a long and adventurous journey with his camera and proficiency. From Asian Games to the best of shows like Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, he has captured it all. From being the VIP cameraman in the core team of Indian prime ministers to filming at the conflict areas, he's experienced it all. And from news and current affairs shows to Bollywood and ad films, he has lived it all. So, welcome again, and let's together chat with Sri Satish Bhatia. Namaste, Satish ji, and thank you so much for coming on my show.
Namaste. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be there with you on the show.
Satish ji, you have had a very rewarding and adventurous journey, which all the viewers will agree to towards the end of this chat. But my question will take you back to 1968. After studying from FTII, why this thought of becoming a news cameraman?
Uh, in fact, there was no television news at that time. When I completed my course, of course, everybody wants to work for the bigger screen and all that. And I found why should I be changing myself from a bigger format to a smaller format? But the second thing was this is something new which is coming onto the country. So Delhi being the hometown and my parents were also there, they insisted on that I should come and join. At that time it was not called Doordarshan, it was called Television Center All India Radio.
Oh.
So we were part of All India Radio, and they had selected four cinematographers to work on film, because as you know that television work is on video cameras. Everything was indoors, and we four cameramen joined and started doing the field work. And the first news bulletin, I joined in February 68 because I passed in 67. And first news bulletin was somewhere in March 68. And it was fun to watch it. So, as you know, the film is to be processed before it is screened and all that. There was no processing plant. So we used to take out the film in the dark room, take it out from the camera and put it on. We had prepared some chemicals tanks, developer, water, fixer. It was black and white. So we used to develop the film. There were no editing machines. We'll put it onto a projector, and the film was very scratchy that time by the time it is telecast and all that. And we mark it shots which are to be cut with that pencil which is used in editing, and then join it with the tape, cello tape. So this continued for almost 3-4 months till we received a processing plant, and then we received the editing machine also.
That must have been really challenging.
Challenging thing with this was the soundtrack. This way you can make a silent film, but there is no sound. Then later on, we started recording sound also, because sound was on a separate magnetic track. This had to be synced with the picture. So it was a very tedious kind of a job. But after a few days, I took it as a challenge. I said, what people are reading in print media the next day, we should be able to show it the same day. So the last news bulletin used to be English news bulletin at 9:30, and transmission in those days used to be only for 4 hours, 6 to 10. 9:30 the English bulletin will start, and whatever we can accommodate. So the last news, if it is covered even at 8 o'clock, we used to see that it is processed, edited, and it goes on to the air.
उन दिनों शायद एक ही स्टेशन हुआ करता था ना?
There was only one station, Delhi. So 4 years, 72, there was a lot of expansion into the country, and we are catering to one station. And the transmission was also just 60 kilometers because there was no satellite. And the signal used to travel like this, that was known as terrestrial transmission. And signal will from All India Radio building will go to some distance, and there will be a microwave tower which will catch the signal, which will be amplified, and again it will be passed on to another distance. So like this, we could manage 60, 70 kilometers of signal going in.
Oh, that's it.
So we had very limited audiences, you can say, especially with the programs like Krishi Darshan. And secondly, people did have TV sets also at that time. It was black and white, and it was community viewing and all. So slowly, we went on adding more programs like sports, drama, and then feature films. Half of the film will be shown on Saturday, half of the film will be shown on Sunday. Okay. So this way, the television into the country expanded.
Oh. You brought this concept of two camera setup for news and sports, which was never tried before. Is that true?
Yeah, what happened was the film camera, when you are going outdoors and all that, for news coverage, it is okay that you can shoot in small shots which can be joined later in editing. But where sound is involved, somebody speaking, and you have to record that. So the shot became very monotonous. What you can do with single camera is you can zoom in, you can zoom out, or you can pan little bit and all that. But I thought, let me carry one more camera. And with that camera, I will take a lot of cutaways. There was no second cameraman. I will fix the camera onto the tripod, into a close-up or into a particular shot, pick up the second camera and take all the cutaways and whatever we have to insert between, and leave a lot of instructions for the editor. And news, of course, is like this, but sports, where you have to show the continuous match, you are just following the ball. With hockey, it is okay. With football, it is okay. You know, every sport has its own discipline. Tennis has different. And you won't believe, shooting with two cameras I felt I'm doing justice to my audiences.
And this had never happened before?
Never, because there was no film cameras working like this in outdoors and all that.
You had also covered Asian Games using two cameras.
First Asian Games which I attended was 74 Asian Games Tehran. So they will not send any other cameraman along with me or any assistant and all that. And you know, sports require lots and lots of footage. When you have to shoot for 1 hour or 1.5 hours continuously, how many tens of film you are going to carry? How many batteries you are going to carry? How many magazines you are going to carry? Because after every magazine is 400 feet, which runs only for 9 minutes and some seconds, you have to change the magazine. So when you are changing the magazine, some part of the game is missed. So for that, I will take a lot of cutaways so that changeover audience, they don't even notice.
You have had ample opportunities to travel with ministers, including the Prime Ministers of India. And you've covered the most prestigious events across the globe. So, can you recollect moments which had been challenging and accomplishing them gave you a sense of pride?
I have very interesting incident to tell you. I had gone with the Prime Minister to states. It was a very long trip with Morarji Desai. And there again, I carried two cameras. And on the lawns of the White House, when the reception ceremony was going on, by that time, I think on that platform must have been more than 100 cinematographers who were doing news coverage at that NBC, CBS, ABC. You can imagine, throughout the world when the Indian Prime Minister is going to America. There, when our PM was speaking, I thought, let me build the atmosphere by taking some more shots. So similarly, I picked up the camera and started shooting with the other camera. And the recordist who was recording the sound, he could not shout that somebody has tripped onto the camera tripod and it has fallen.
Okay.
So because this is a pin drop silence. So when I came back, maybe after 30 seconds or 40 seconds, I saw my camera is fallen on the ground. So thank God it was not much of a this thing. I just put the camera back, changed the magazine, and restarted it. And when that speech was telecast, nobody could make out that certain portions of the speech, visuals were missing, but the sound is continuous.
How many Indian prime ministers have you worked with?
When I joined DD, that time, of course, it was known as Television Center. Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister. And then Morarji Desai in between for 3 years. And then, of course, again, Mrs. Gandhi came back. And after her, there was Rajiv Gandhi. And I did a film on Rajiv Gandhi with Simi Garewal. She directed it. It was in three parts, 1 hour each, 3 hours of documentary. This is one can find. In fact, we couldn't complete it because when he had gone for this election campaign to South, he was killed. So, but Simi completed the film there and then itself.
Do share your experience of filming at the conflict areas during the India-Pak War of 1971.
Oh, you know, when initially the war started, actually the aim was to free East Pakistan and convert it into the Bangladesh and all that. They had a force which Pakistan used to call is a terrorist group and all that. The local Bengalis there, they formed a army called Mukti Bahani. And most of the Bengali officers who were serving Pakistani army, they defected and joined Mukti Bahani. So throughout the world, Pakistan was doing this propaganda that it is the Indian army who is doing it. There is nothing called Mukti Bahani and all that. So I was sent to do a film on this force called Mukti Bahani, and we went all over. You know how big is the Bangladesh border and all that. Right up to from Calcutta, right up to Agartala and all that. So we made a film called The Warriors of Liberation. That film was sent to many countries to be shown over their television networks. So, and towards end of November 71, it was planned actually. Now is going to be a full-fledged war to free Bangladesh. Troops were there all over. Of course, whenever happened on the eastern side, the western border is also to be covered and all that. So, end of November, PM started going to the forward areas and all that, and to encourage Johans and all that. And that time I traveled a lot with PM. And sometimes, for example, we are going to forward areas in Rajasthan, Barmer side and all that. The flight will go up to uh, Jaipur or this thing. Then from there we'll travel by helicopter. And the helicopter, when it is flying low, it cannot be spotted by the enemy radars and all that. So that was again a wonderful experience. In one helicopter, you're just traveling with the PM, and there are three more persons accompanying you. There's one used to be a still photographer from Press Information Bureau, and of course, one or two people from the protocol. And in that flight, even if Mrs. Gandhi had to say something, she will write down on a piece of paper, and the paper will be passed to all of
Really?
us. Yeah. So that way we used to do the conversation.
You have high regard for Mrs. Indira Gandhi and a caring nature.
Yeah. uh, ये तो helicopter की बात है, because whenever we used to go into any area with a flight, maybe a helicopter or a plane, she will individually ask everybody, are you being taken care of? Because especially in the longer flights. And even during this forward areas and all that, I still remember in one of the places in the tent, the lunch was to be served and all that. And you do a journey when you go there, and the army protocol, they will serve you with, uh, of course, beer and all that during lunch. And the waiter came, and there were just 5 glasses. In 5 glasses, one was a soft drink, and 4 were the beer glasses, because we were 5 in that helicopter. So, uh, so nice of the Prime Minister that she just, when I refused, because I can't drink in front of the Prime Minister, and she just casually said, "Le lijiye na." So I took it. And even after that, these longer journeys, maybe from Delhi to UK or Delhi to Europe and all that, he used to take care of the entire crew. Now, these days, the crews are so big, so many channels are there and all that. That time, hardly. All India Radio correspondent, Press Information Bureau still photographer, one government correspondent otherwise, and of course, Doordarshan.
I remember you telling me about a life-threatening situation that you were fortunate to escape in Dhaka, जब लोगों ने आपको पाकिस्तानी समझ के पकड़ लिया था.
हाँ, पहले भी हुआ था, because when we used to go to forward areas with Mufti Bani and all that, we were actually trained with LMG. And on one side we are carrying camera, on the other side we are carrying an LMG, because कहीं भी कुछ हो सकता है and all that. And I was provided with the security guard. And we were given instruction, in case any firing starts from the opposite side, just lie flat onto the ground.
Oh.
And once, the firing was so low that my security guard got a bullet right on the head. This was the first time I got scared into the war. Otherwise, तो ऐसे लगता था कि जैसे पटाखे चल रहे हों and all that. And after that, uh, the incident which I'm telling you is, I saw complete death in front of me, because what happened was, most of the Pakistanis who could not manage to go back to West Pakistan, they were hiding in Intercontinental Hotel. And these Mukti Bani boys, what they will do it, they will look for them, take them at the back of the hotel and shoot. और किसी के हाथ पांव तोड़ देते थे या कुछ and all that, because they couldn't stand Pakistanis, because Pakistanis ruled over them. Now, They were all small boys of the age group of 18, 19 and all that. There was no law and order in Dhaka. When I went there, we were three of us. So we all decided that so and so particular time we'll meet in the launch. So I wanted to see Dhaka. And we had gone one day earlier to Mrs. Gandhi's visit. So the purpose was to just roam around and all. I was sitting in the lounge and one boy comes, he says, Ki, are you a Punjabi? I said, yeah. Very proudly, I'm telling him that I'm a Punjabi. I said, how can you make out? He's telling your eyebrows. I said, how can he make out from the eyebrows? He said, show me your passport. मैंने दिखाया. And you know, on passport, it's written date of birth, place of birth. And my place of birth is Lahore. And within bracket, it was written West Pakistan. He thought that I'm a Pakistani spy. And I'm just saying that I belong to Indian government or something like that. But somehow or the other, I could convince him that there is a Punjab in India also. And we people who are refugees from that era, 47, that's why our place of birth remains the same. And we are now Indian citizens.
तो आप बच गए.
बच गया.
In November 1982, just before Vinoba Bhave's death, you had accompanied Mrs. Indira Gandhi to his ashram. So, how was that experience?
See what happened? Actually, we were preparing for Asian Games. Asian Games were starting somewhere around 10th or 11th of November. And I still remember this was the first week of November. And it was spread that Mr. Vinoba Bhave has kept fast unto death. So I forgot what was the reason for that and all that. So we were asked to go and do the coverage there. And during that visit to Vardha Ashram, Mrs. Gandhi also came to see. And you won't believe, in that small room where Mr. Vinoba Bhave was there, Mrs. Gandhi, only me and one more person was there. Vinoba Bhave first had kept Maun Vrat, jise kehte hain. He and Mrs. Gandhi will write down and talk. तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि लोग बात क्या कर रहे हैं. And suddenly I saw that chit जिस पे लिखा था मेरे और मेरे भगवान के बीच में मत आओ.
You have filmed the entire series of Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, which is till date one of the best shows on Indian television. So, how was your experience of working with the renowned director Kundan Shah?
I joined them as a cinematographer and as well as a technical advisor. And instead, that I learned a lot from Kundan. Because I had my own concept of compositions and all that. If you see that serial even today, there is no trolley shot, there is no crane shot. This is just fixed camera at one place. There are cuts, and when the character moves, we are just slowly zooming out with the panning, so that goes into the close-up. So this was a new technique, I would say. And we did 67 episodes on a fixed camera. And another thing which Kundan was master of the script and all that. We had so many comedians on the set, as you have seen the serial. Everybody will joke and laugh and all that. Kundan was the most serious person. लगता ही नहीं था कि ये बंदा कॉमेडी डायरेक्ट कर रहा है.
Is that the same time when you started working with Rishikesh Mukherjee?
Rishikesh Mukherjee called. Because he was watching that serial very regularly. And later on, when I was sitting with him, he could narrate certain dialogues by Satisha. How he had. Then he said, ki, suppose I do a serial. Will you be working with me? I was so thrilled, Rishikesh Mukherjee, who had been a teacher to us at FTI and who has done almost 42 films. And then, of course, I did that serial with him. It was known as Hum Hindustani, in which Ashok Kumar was the main character, and there were 6 couples. And after working for, I think, almost about 2 years and all that, we had such a good rapport. He will, after one shot is over, he will explain me the next shot. He will speak half the sentence and I will understand the whole thing, what he wants. So one has to understand the mind of the director.
So, is there anything specific that you've learned from Rishikesh Mukherjee and Kundan Shah?
As I was telling you, you learn a lot from these masters. Kundan, I picked up his style of composition. From Rishida, I picked up his style of working. And then I found every director has a different style. And once you are working with different directors, you have to adopt yourself into their style. You cannot say, ki, yes, I'm also a cinematographer, this is my style. I'll compose like this and all that. So, director, I thought, is like a god. Whatever he says, you have to do it. Yeah. So, whereas I learned from Kundan, I learned from Rishida, I learned from Simi also. ये नहीं कि मैंने बाकी डायरेक्टर्स के साथ काम नहीं किया. I did work with many directors in between, but nobody could match with that. Even compositions also, you see some directors like balanced compositions. Some directors like off-balanced compositions. I worked with NCPA's director, Vijay Mehta. We used to do stage plays. I think today, if I go back and see, मेरी 5,000 घंटों की footage होगी वहां पे पड़ी. This is how much we shot. We shot plays, we did documentaries on all the, I would say, dance masters of India, like Kelu Charan Mahapatro, and then Tabla Maestros. I did on Allah Rakha, then the Sun also. So many symphony orchestras and all that. Mrs. Vijay Mehta, she was again a kind of a teacher, I would say. Why I say teacher is because whenever you learn something, you call that person to be a teacher. And she said, all balanced compositions. She never liked a balanced composition.
आपने बताया था कि आपने ऋषिदा से बहुत कुछ सीखा है, पर उन्होंने आपसे बदले में कभी कुछ नहीं लिया क्योंकि वो आपको बेटे की तरह समझते थे.
7 serials together, me and Rishida. And of course, there was no other channel. So it was all Doordarshan. Other channels started coming 92 ke baad and all that. So one of the serials, Talash, which was 52 episodes, it was Maushmi Chatterjee's husband who was the producer. She was the heroine. That serial was judged as the best photographed serial of the year. It was 92. And of course, I got a cinematography award. And he never used to go to any award function and all that. So that's why he said, ki, you go take the award, and after award, you just come to my house. By the time I went to his house, kept the award, I said, Dada, this belongs to you. He just kept quiet, and he had a big box ready with him. He just gave it to me. He said, this is award from my side. And there's so many items were there in that box, but there was one लक्ष्मी गणेश की चांदी की मूर्ति कॉइन था इतना बड़ा, अभी भी है मेरे पास. एंड उसके ऊपर एक चिट लगी हुई जिसके ऊपर लिखा हुआ था something called Satish, I'm your greatest fan or something, ऋषिकेश मुखर्जी. मैंने कहा सारी चीजें तो जाने दो. I'm going to preserve this shit. Yeah. So, and later on when I started, because since I was producing also and I was directing also his concept, I saw to it that every episode script, I give it to him, he corrects it, and wherever, whatever mistakes I have committed, so he will correct them and give it back to me. So I think we finished 5 episodes like this. So then suddenly I realized that Dada has not taken any money from me. This is a professional job which we are doing. I'm getting money. So I must pay to him. But I was scared to give the money to him. In one of the days when I went to get the script approved from him, I made a packet of money, and he always liked mithai. So he thought कि मैं मिठाई लेके आया हूँ जो उनके सामने रख दी. And he asked me क्या लाए हो यार इस डब्बे में. मैंने कहा दादा मैंने कुछ दिया नहीं आपको. This is for you. And he, oh my God, he shouted, he said, शर्म नहीं आती. मैं अपने बेटे से भी पैसे लूंगा क्या?
You also directed serials for Doordarshan.
Yeah. In fact, he just went on asking, अब तू इतना कुछ सीख गया है तो सीरियल डायरेक्ट क्यों नहीं करता? तो why you are working for other directors and I said क्या करूं? Then I did one Marathi serial, which was again a comedy serial. And immediately after that, I asked him, can I pick up this concept of Bawarchi? If you help me out, because we have a servant. And in a city like Mumbai, where husband, wife are totally depending upon the servant. So let's modernize that concept of Bawarchi. So then I did a serial called Gulam Begum Basha. So it was Raghuveer Yadav who was playing that role. And Smita Jakar was the leading lady, and Bharat Davolkar was into the main character.
So, were you also handling camera for the shows that you were directing?
Yeah, that is a mistake I did. I should not have taken onto the camera. So what happens is when a cameraman becomes the director, वो फ्रेम को संवारने में इतना हो जाता है कि then you are doing lighting, you are doing everything, and you forget to narrate the story. So anyway, I decided that this is enough. Either by that time people had started talking, oh, Satish Bhatia to director ban gaya. So,
Is it true that after working with esteemed directors like Kundan Shah and Rishida, it was very difficult for you to adjust to the working style of the younger directors and the undue demands of the channels? सुना है कि किसी सीरियल की शूटिंग के दौरान एक मंगलसूत्र के ऊपर हुए तमाशे की वजह से आपने सीरियल
Yeah.
करना ही छोड़ दिया?
So what happened? I started with after Rishida almost retired and all that. So one has to work with the younger generation also. So I was doing a serial for UTV, and actually everything was looked after by executive producers of the channel. You don't have any independence to do it. एक तो मॉनिटर पड़ा हुआ सामने, आपका फ्रेम देख के 10 लोग कमेंट कर देंगे. How will you feel like that? A 22-year-old girl comments on to the production aspects, which I didn't like. And then she just pointed out to the director कि क्या मंगलसूत्र पहनवा दिया तुमने, इसको चेंज करिए. अब मंगलसूत्र चेंज करना मीन्स मॉर्निंग में जितनी शूटिंग हुई है वो सारी बेकार गई. One guy was sent to Shivaji Theatre where all these shops are there. He brought 10 Mangal Sutras. सब ट्राई किए, अल्टीमेटली वही रखा जो सुबह था. But I can thank God the footage is saved. Otherwise, we had to shoot the entire thing again and all that. But in my mind, I decided. I said I will not be able to work now.
What are your views on OTT?
Now, of course, you have so many other openings like OTT platforms. So once you are doing a production, you don't know whether it's going to be on OTT platform. If it is a serial, then it's clear. Then if you are doing a film which is 2 hours or 1.5 hours, if it doesn't get a release into the theater, OTT platform is there. But with that, I have seen the production standards have gone up. The technical aspects of production has gone up. Content part is gone up. So, and you have so much so the exposure, because earlier we could watch European cinema. I would especially say the Italian and French cinema, with lot of experimentation is done and all that. We could watch these films only on film festivals. Now today we can watch on OTT platforms and learn a lot from them.
It was wonderful listening to your rich experiences. But before we end, what is that message that you would like to give to the younger generation of filmmakers?
Uh, they shouldn't get stuck with one style, or they should not follow anybody's style. Explore a lot, read a lot, have your own style, and don't repeat that style into another production.
Thank you once again for coming on my show and giving me time.
Thank you very much. I hope I spoke my mind to you, because a journey like this, sometimes you sit and start thinking of so many things. Maybe today we just shortened everything.
Thank you.